I didn't watch this movie at all, except for now, just for this video. I watched the movie and I had no interest in it, but I wanted to complete this as soon as possible. And since I know that there's going to be more installments on the way, I was like, whatever. So I watched the movie Venom, There Be Carnage. It's directed by Andy Serkis. It is the second film in the Sony's Spider-Man universe. That's a thing now. It's also the sequel to the 2018 film Venom. I looked up the Rotten Tomato score for both films, both this and Venom, because Venom is the only other movie of this installment that I saw, and Venom I saw multiple times for some reason. One of those times was for the video, I think, yeah. And I don't understand why this movie is loved as much as it is, because the Rotten Tomato score is like, audience seems to be loving it, and good for them. But I think that most of these audiences don't know what Venom and Carnage is all about, and I don't either. I haven't read any of the comics, and my only exposure to Venom and Carnage is through the animated shows. In terms of live action, I still gotta go with Spider-Man 3. Of the 3 films that has the character Venom in it, Spider-Man 3 is still the best one for me. And I don't like saying that, because I want to see these movies be as good as it should be, because the way Venom is portrayed in these films, I'm just not a fan of, because I know Venom is way more than this. There's a lot of psychological stuff that Venom and Carnage deals with. So Carnage is dead in this film, and Venom just eats him up. He eats Cassidy's head, and what that means is you will never get a good Carnage movie from Sony. At least you're just not gonna get that. And since the end credits of this movie pretty much confirms that this Venom is now going to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're not gonna get a good Venom movie out of Marvel either, unless they decide to revamp the character in some way, but I highly doubt that. There's nothing much to say about this movie aside from that it's just a slight variation of the first. It has similar beats. I would not say exact. I would say this one has similar beats to the first film. And again, if I had to get through any positives, the performances are the positives, especially for that of Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson. These two are the best characters in the film, and I enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed the character of Shriek, the performance at least. I did not care about the romance. I don't know if both of them were ever a thing in the comics, but it was not portrayed well. There are obvious homages to Spider-Man, but the impact is even less. Nothing in this evokes any feeling, and the way the movie is presented, it never felt like there's any effort put into it. It just felt like they just want this movie to be over and done with so that they can move on to the next one, which in this case was Morbius. The action scenes are better than the first one. In the first one, you couldn't really differentiate Venom with the night because he's always in the dark, and if there wasn't those white veins in his body, you wouldn't recognize him at all. And the fight between Venom and Riot was just like two splooges, just like, it's like you're having slime in your hand, like two different colors of slime, and you're playing with it. It felt like that, whereas this one felt more like a fight. It's nothing new, but it's better than the first, I can say that at least. I did not like Carnage being the son of Venom, because Carnage calls him father, and I kind of like the origin of Carnage, and I like how Carnage is designed. He looks great when you can see him. Because there are a lot of times in this movie again where Carnage is shrouded in darkness, And unlike Venom, who has the white veins, so that you can at least differentiate it, you don't get to see Carnage properly. Michelle Williams is useless in this movie. She barely has any role or to contribute to the film. In fact, her fiance, the character who plays her fiance in this movie, has more to do in this film than the love interest. This guy contributes so much in the climax, and Michelle Williams is just the hostage. I like some of the setting. There was one or two jokes that made me laugh, but I also cringed that Venom, if you don't know my criticism with the first one, it's also applied here. There are times where I just cannot believe that Venom is saying these things and doing these things. Like Venom, like these are not the character traits that I associate with Venom. And I don't know what happened between the first film and this film, but all Venom and Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, the only thing both of them do is just bicker throughout the movie. And in the end, because they have to stop some bad guy, they just get together after saying sorry. Again, it's the same beats as the first one. There are talks of them going there and fighting crime, but they don't do that. They do it once and it was unnecessary. So yeah. I guess I did not like this movie as much, despite the fact that there are certain aspects in this movie that are better than the first installment. But when you look at both the positives and the negatives, it does feel like you're just delivered a movie that is of the same quality as the first one. And the first one had entertaining parts. This one has the same. It does have entertaining parts, but there are stuff in this movie that frustrates me, because I wanted to see Carnage being unleashed into the world, causing all sorts of mayhem and destruction. I wanted there to be carnage. The movie is titled Let There Be Carnage, but the movie is PG-13, so you don't get to see any of the gore. So what was the point of having carnage? The moment Venom tries to do something that is even remotely close to rated R, it cuts and then you just see the end, the output. Like, that loosens the impact. I want to see all of those things. And then there are stuff that is being done specifically for PG-13. You look at when Carnage is first introduced in the movie, how he gets out, how Cletus gets out. Some of those things are done purposefully to keep a PG-13 rating. Naomie Harris as Shriek is also fine, but I don't like how she was portrayed in the film, but performance-wise, I think she did a good job with that. Again, I did not buy into the romance between her and Cletus Cassidy. I don't know if that's part of the comics or whatever, but I just couldn't buy into it. So that's pretty much it. The only good things in the movie are the performances of Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson, and I guess Naomie Harris as well. The designs of Venom and Carnage, when you can see them, they're good. And that's pretty much it. If you liked the first installment, you're pretty much gonna like this one. If you did not like the first installment, you're gonna have a hard time with this film as well. And I saw this movie in Netflix, so if you're watching this movie on that platform, then I gotta warn you, they do censor some of the words, but it's a movie that, in terms of overall quality, is pretty much the same as the first one. It's tolerable, it has entertaining parts, and you watch the movie, I guess you'll have fun with it, but do remember, this is not, at least in my mind, this is not how the characters should be portrayed, especially when you have such a good cast. Like, all these people would be perfect for an actual Venom and a Carnage movie. Like, there's a lot of psychological stuff in this film that, if it was done properly and if it was explored, it would have made for a good Venom and Carnage movie, because that's what I wanted to see in these films, and I was just left disappointed. And fuck this movie being part of the MCU. I just do not agree with that decision. I hate it. I do not like that. Doing a movie of the villains without the hero is just you know, it's meh for me. This is pretty much what I have to say. This is a movie that lacks effort. It does seem rushed, that this movie, how it's chopped up and how this movie moves, like it's super fast. It gets to the next scene quick and it doesn't waste any time at all. There's like it cuts to the next scene like pretty quickly. There are certain things done in this, like some of the comedy in this film is better than the first movie. There are some comedy in this one that I enjoyed more than the first one, although it's not all of them. And I hate that Venom was the one saying all these things, but it was a movie that I had no interest in watching because I knew that it's just gonna be the same movie, just done slightly differently. So, and I was right, it is the same movie but done slightly differently. If you did enjoy the first movie, you're pretty much gonna enjoy this. You can look it up on the OTT platforms, it's there. If you're not caught up, I say now is the perfect time. I think there's a third Venom movie in development, or at least planned. Just end my life, why don't you? Okay, I'm gonna have to finish Morbius next now, don't I? Alright, so that's pretty much it. I'll see you in the Morbius video.
By another shot, you got me drinking. Girl, you shut me down and there's no witness. Got me in my feels, she would never listen. All the alcohol is in my liver. I guess I lost and you're the winner. Missing your touch, you were a good kisser. I was born a saint, but now I'm a sinner. Falling for you.